By the end of the century, unchecked climate change is expected to cost $5 trillion in property damage in the US alone, and tens of trillions more around the world. Governments will face enormous expenses, but so will individual homeowners. And if their homes are going to be destroyed by climate change, should they be able to sue polluters responsible for the damage before it happens?
Saúl Luciano Lliuya lives in Huaraz, a Peruvian city of just over 100,000 people located in the Andes Mountains. He works as a mountain guide and lives with his family in the hills nearby. But he also inherited a house in town that he's trying to fix up.
I've noticed that there's a lot of construction going on here. Why are you changing up this house? What are you trying to do?
La construcción anterior era de adobe. Ahora se está cambiándose por construcción de concreto por el tema de que es más seguro contra todo, esperamos contra todo.
Saúl's worried about a flood from a nearby glacial lake. So he's suing one of the largest greenhouse gas emitters in the world for a climate change-related disaster that hasn't happened yet.
Y yo me preocupo qué va a pasar cuando el aluvión viene y destroza.
Saúl isn't just being paranoid. Huaraz has been flooded before. In 1941, the same glacial lake broke free of its embankment and killed an estimated 5,000 people.
Según lo que ha hecho un estudio, un científico de la Universidad de Texas, y el aluvión recorrería el mismo camino que lo hizo en el año 41 y justo es este lado.
These changes have been linked to climate change, which is happening in part because of major greenhouse gas emitters, like the company he's suing, RWE. RWE is a German energy company that, according to a 2014 report, is responsible for roughly 0.5% of all greenhouse gases ever emitted. So, in 2015, Saúl sued them, demanding that they pay for 0.5% of the cost required to build infrastructure that will protect his town and home from a major flood, which comes out to around $20,000.
Why is this case happening in Germany with a German company as opposed to somewhere in South America or Peru with the Peruvian company?
Well, in Peru, there's no such huge emitter. He could have gone to a colleague of mine in the US or in Oman to try and take a similar case against a company there, but he didn't.
Rhoda Verheyen is a Hamburg-based lawyer who Saúl was introduced to by a German environmental group he met while working as a mountain guide. She decided to take up Saúl's case in German court.
This lake is now changing very much due to climate change. And he's now asking RWE to simply help him make that lake safe so that a flood does not occur, so that he can safely live in his house with his neighbors, with his family.
Holding a major corporation accountable for the global side effects of their business isn't easy, however.
There is no law prohibiting greenhouse gas emissions, but the provision that I'm using in our law is basically a nuisance type emission. It says, yes, what you do might be legal, but actually what you're causing me here is just unbearable. So you've got to stop, or you've got to remedy the problem.
Is it possible to link RWE to the glacier in Peru and what's going on with that lake?
It's not as if a molecule of CO2 kind of wanders over to the Peruvian Andes. But what you can do definitely is you can say, this much of emissions you've caused, they travel up to the atmosphere, thereby increasing the greenhouse gas effect. And that you can link to the local impact and thus to the glacial melting.
What are you hoping to accomplish with this case?
I'm hoping to get a statement out of court that says, in instances like that, where a multitude of emitters actually cause a problem, each of them will be responsible for its share.
What Rhoda and Saúl are hoping to do is create a legal pathway that forces companies to pay for preventative measures people take to protect themselves and their property from the effects of climate change. We reached out to RWE for comment, and they told us that Mr. Lliuya's claims against us have no judicial basis. According to law, there is no liability of individual emission sources regarding global phenomena like climate change. Therefore, it judicially is impossible to relate specific and local matters to an individual emission source.
If you compare this kind of case with the cases taken in asbestos or even tobacco, and you look at how many cases it took around the world to actually grasp the problem and to actually get there, it took hundreds of cases. And even if I lose this one, it will not be the last.
In December, Saúl's case was dismissed by the local court in Essen, the town where RWE is located. He has already appealed the decision.
Si alguien está afectando su casa, va a reclamar. Es simplemente estamos haciendo algo que de repente toda persona normal o natural haría, no es otra cosa.